And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today's video. Go ahead and hit that like button. You know it helps us out, and it helps you because it helps us. Now, this video, y'all, is to highlight some of the growing differences between some of the players in the YSL trial, particularly Doug Weinstein, who represented Diamante Kendrick, who is still in jail right now, who's trying to get out of jail. And then on the other side is the Law and Crime Network, who were primarily responsible for bringing us the in-court video and audio. We were able to watch the YSL trial largely due to Law and Crime. Now, first things first, Law and Crime they did a couple of things. They produced a documentary, and in that documentary, they included certain jail calls between Young Thug and other people. And previous to the documentary, they had released these jail calls, and Weinstein took huge exception to this. So what you're going to see here is Weinstein responding to the documentary and also to the release of the jail calls. But first, we're going to see a clip from the documentary that seemed to particularly perturb Weinstein as it relates to what this investigator had to say.
I think he should have been sent to prison. We're talking about violent crime. And he's getting credit for time served and probation. As the president of the Georgia Gang Investigators Association, I think it's a slap in the face of every man and woman that has investigated this criminal organization.
So, Lucky One at Snoopin42 on the Twitter machine makes a good point that I'd like to expound upon, although I don't think I can say it any better than she or they did. So the head of the Georgia Gang Investigators group says that it's a slap in the face to investigators that Jeffrey Williams got probation and then was allowed to go home. It's a slap in the face to my client, Diamante Kendrick, Yak Gotti, that he has sat in jail since May the 9th, 2022, and on December the 3rd, actually December 2nd is when the verdict form was signed, but on December the 3rd was found not guilty on every charge against him. In fact, the evidence was so weak that on 3 of the charges against him, it didn't even make it to a jury. He won by a directed verdict. Is that not a slap in the face to Mr. Kendrick? Is that not a slap in the face to our society where a man is locked up for, oh my gosh, it's more than, 2.5 years for a crime he did not commit? That's the slap in the face. Last I looked, the Georgia gang investigators were all free and out on the street.
So then in the following video, we also see Doug speak more specifically about the documentary, calling it trash. Now, Doug seems to have his primary issue with the documentary, again, seems to be the inclusion of these jail calls, which maybe had nothing to do with the trial. They were not introduced as evidence in the trial. They were not referenced in the trial that I'm aware of. And so maybe this seems like a kind of like a gotcha moment where like, oh man, I found something out about you. I can use this to my benefit. And again, Law and Crime had also released several of these calls independently of the documentary, which also caused Doug to say, hey man, this is not cool. And also issue a very stern warning to Law and Crime not to try that with Diamante Kendrick. So this is what Doug had to say about the documentary itself.
So this dropped today on Tubi from Law and Crime. It is a 1-hour documentary, I guess, on the Young Thug trial. And it is just absolute trash, really. It's clickbaity, sensational, doesn't really get into the details, kind of skims through the surface of some of it. I don't know what the point of this documentary is. I'm in it. Keith Adams is in it. Michael Seiden. If you want to know about the Young Thug trial, you're far better off listening to the King Slime podcast, for example. But this documentary is absolutely not worth your time. I don't know. I guess perhaps I have some regrets even participating in something that is pure trash. Also, it features some of these jail calls that Jeffrey Williams had. So for that reason alone, I would not watch it. So hopefully this is not publicizing it and having people go watch it after I've asked folks. Yeah, I guess I am asking you not to watch it because I think it's a tremendous invasion of privacy to litter this 1 hour quote unquote documentary with some of these jail calls. So there it is. If I was Siskel and Ebert, I would give it 2 thumbs down.
Now, this is Kathy Rasan. She is the managing editor at Law and Crime, and she was responding to someone named Lakeisha, I guess Sayasing. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And Lakeisha said, Law and Crime. She said, Kathy, after watching the YSL trial day after day for over 100 days, watching the interview and seeing the passion in Maurice about the case, that documentary y'all put out on Tubi was disrespectful, reckless, and irresponsible. You should be ashamed. Now, Kathy comes back and says, I watched it today and I didn't see anything disrespectful, reckless, etc. If anything, it was very pro-defense, pro-Young Thug. It pointed out the state's weak case and the state's weak witnesses and how it was wrong not to give Thug a bond. Doug immediately shoots back and says, why were the private conversations between Jeffrey and Mariah needed? What did they add to the points you make? So I think if you look at a lot of these other comments, people were saying the same thing as Doug. Not everybody agreed, but I think the majority of comments were like, why did you need those jail calls? So this is just an interesting kind of side issue to everything, but it could become, I think, a bigger issue if they were to go forward with any kind of Diamante Kendrick jail calls, because Doug has already said, he's already warned, look, we will likely take legal action if Law and Crime does this. So I just find this interesting, y'all, because Law and Crime was the go-to, they were the go-to people for us to watch the trial. And also they did a lot of summaries. They provided a lot of context. And I'd like to know what y'all think. You know, it seems like, again, this is the friends turn to foes type of situation. And I think is unfortunate. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, y'all. Appreciate y'all watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.